Hello guys, this is Kel, and it's been some time I last see all of you. Now, the thing is this, when the Federal Reserve start to pump liquidity into the market, we know that the boys know it's time to sell. And we have said this many times before, be very careful when the Fed do something like this. Now, some people will think that this is just a normal thing, but we know this more than anybody else that when you see the Fed do things like this, they know something that and they're hiding it from all of us. And there is a 90% accurate midterm election market pattern that I think that some of you may know or may not know. This pattern has been very accurate since 1960s. And today I'm going to share it with all of you. All right, but before that itself, please make sure to this is a must-watch video. Tell your friend to join and watch this video. All right. Now, yesterday, we actually posted there will be some big selling after the stroke of midnight. And we tell people that to be very, very careful to take their money off the table. And it happens because we inform everybody from Indonesia to Cambodia to Vietnam to Singapore, Malaysia, even China. And the thing is this, incredibly after midnight, the market start to pour, the selling coming very fast. And of course, the Nasdaq lost more than 4% in a single day. Now you can see that our indicator crazy is very accurate. When the color switch over from yellow to red, this is already a first sign of selling. And after that, we can see the big boys indicator also came in to sell. So that basically confirmed the selling. But one thing is that I expect the Nasdaq to drop all the way to 28,000, but I didn't expect it to come down so much within the same day. So this tells me that, right, the market really know what is going to happen soon, and that's why we should be very, very careful. And did we make money from that? Of course, we make some money from that. I think that as a trader, you need to make something from trading. So with that, we're going to go right into the market information. Please do your risk management and make sure that you know that anything in trading, there's always a possibility of the other side. Yeah. Okay. So now let's just go right into the market and see what are we able to see from the market. Now, first of all, we know that the US, there's a very high chance the US is going to hike interest rate in the near term. Now, why do we say that? Because you can see that the current rate now, the market is expecting a rate hike from the 16th of September, right? Now, the thing is this, why is the market looking at that? Because apparently the next 2 months, the market expected not to move. And in fact, by the third month after Kevin Walsh comes in for when Kevin Walsh come in and do his third FOMC meeting, he's expected to rate hike the market. This is something very incredible. People really don't see that it should be happening, but it is happening right now as we speak. So traders, be very, very careful. Things may go very wrong. And of course, if you look at it more, you can see that Blackstone has restricted flagship funds from withdrawal, and this is not a good sign. And with Bitcoin withering to its worst week ever for months, this again tells you that it's time to be very, very careful and not to get involved in the market in the near term, right? This is something that we need to watch it. So with that understanding itself, you can see right now the Federal Reserve balance sheet. So apparently Federal Reserve didn't want to hike interest rate, didn't want to reduce interest rate, is because they know something is actually wrong in the economy. Let me bring it to you, right? So first of all, you can see very clearly that the back in 2008, when there was a liquidity pump in, that was because of the Lehman crisis. Then after that, we also know that there's a pump again in 2014 because of the inflation crisis. All right. And then after that, we know that in the later part in 2020, there's another pump in because of this COVID. So the question is this, all right, they have been pumping liquidity in the market, but it stopped since 2022 to reduce, right, quantitative tightening. But very incredibly, recently, there is a markup again. And there's no reason, nothing was mentioned, but we can see from the numbers. So the question is why? Why is the market doing that? So obviously the reason is pretty clear, because the market knows that something is wrong. And that's the reason why Jerome Powell refused to cut interest rate, because he knows that something is actually very wrong in the market. So some people will think that this is just only our speculation, but we can see very clearly Jerome Powell back then really doesn't want to cut interest rate, and that basically causes Trump to slash on him very clearly, but he still stayed fast with whatever he believed. So this is why a lot of people tells me that to be very careful. And I tell you this, it's time to be careful, because whenever the S&P 500 go parabolic, we can see that it happened before in 1975, 1987, 2009, and 2020. Whenever the market go more than 16% up within less than 2 months, that is usually a point whereby the market will go into some selling spree. And truth be told, it actually really happened. So that is why, again, I tell people to be very, very careful, as things can go very wrong in the near term. And because of that, right now, this is whereby if things going to continue, selling is expected to come. Now, it happened before in 1987, a Black Monday. This coming Monday, could it be a Black Monday too? Now, this is something that I won't speculate, but we can watch for it. So that is a reason why a lot of people ask me this question, is that what is my view for the next 2 years? As a matter of fact, I was very clear that the S&P 500 will go up to 7,600 first, a bit more, and then a pullback below 7,000. And then after that, that will form a base before the big rally to 9,000. I said this all on the 28th of May, whereby many people basically can watch for it. They know that I said that, and they know that this is my view for the next 1 or 2 years. And of course, if this happens, things will get very crazy. And we can see right now the S&P 500 back then was at 6,500. Tom Lee, a very famous analyst, came in and says that he's expecting 7,700, and the market really followed to his T, parabolic upside. Now, we all know that such parabolic upside is going to come to an end soon, as always, because we have seen it before in 2008, where the short interest at 3.8%, the market fell. So of course, now we are back to 3.8%. What you expect, it should be the same thing, right? So as a trader, we need to be very careful about what is happening in the market. And of course, this is why I want you to know that we are very concerned of what's going to happen in the near term. And then after that, you can see at the same time right now, the S&P 500 short interest is really running up. And Warren Buffett has said that this is really a euphoria. Back in 2000, he said that before, and now he said that again. That's never had people in more gambling mood than now. So you can see we are actually performing almost an identical move. All right. And of course, we all know that the market is going up because of SpaceX. Now, SpaceX, we know the target price is 135. I think it's going to hit 150, and then there could be a pullback. Yes, indeed. Why is that so? Because I don't think that the market will be very happy to see Elon Musk becoming the first trillionaire. Now, one thing to note, this stock called SpaceX itself, right, is pretty good, but it's burning a lot of money almost every day. So if you don't have a good plan for this, you're going to really burn money, and the market will not buy into that. And one thing to note, just let you know a little bit here and there, ever since the last 15 years, we have a lot of companies doing a lot of this listing, and we have them, their share price was here at one point, but now it's much lower, like Robinhood, Rivian, LFTFT, Uber, Palantir, Coinbase, Snap, Twitter or X, and Facebook Meta. So most of them have lost more than 50% ever since the peak of the crisis. So is it possible that we'll see that? Well, it is possible. If you look at how Meta and SpaceX, they put themselves side by side, it's almost a bit identical. So will that actually happen? It is going to happen. The specific event going to happen. There'll be thousands and thousands of people coming down, and that is whereby things can go very wrong. Yeah. So that's the reason why Warren Buffett asked us to keep cash, because every time, whenever there's a crisis or crash coming in, he will be holding cash first at about 60%. And now he has $334 billion waiting to be in cash out to play into the stock market. So think about this right now, right? The thing is that why is he going against the trend? Because he feels that the market is unsafe right now. And the thing is this, is nothing worth buying at the current price level. And of course, he said that he will basically let the retail do whatever he need to do while he prepares to make his things bigger. So do make sure do note that there will be no market talk tomorrow, to say know that. Now, there's 4 big, massive reasons for a sell. And let me explain to you. First of all, we have large IPO SpaceX coming in, and that will drain liquidity. Second of all, Kevin Walsh being hawkish for FOMC June 17 meeting. So that means that there'll be no rate cut on the 17th of June. And of course, there could be a hike. But back then in 2022, there was a hike that makes things go better. But would it happen again? I'm not too sure. And last but not least, the earnings cycle of the market semis and enterprise software, they are usually now at the highest level. And we have seen it before in 2018 when they're at a very high level, the market will give in. Yeah. So because of that, we have the 4-year midterm election. And of course, we all know that ever since the start of the year, the S&P 500 is not doing very well. So the thing is this, why is the strategist looking at 9,000? Well, it's not only been saying that apparently the JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and of course, we have this Evercore, all of them is expecting a 30% this upside or discount. So because of that itself, right, you can see that he's quite confident that this thing will happen and do well and do bring business for them, but he didn't realize that everything is such entrapment. And of course, if you follow the script, there's a chance that they may hit the 9,000 mark. It may not be immediately, but I believe it will come. So that is another reason why traders, you need to be very, very careful on this at this moment right now. All right. And the thing is this, Michael Burry has bought a lot of puts. They bought in Palantir, bought in NVIDIA. So this tells you that this guy knows something, right? He already put in more than $1 billion worth of short against these AI bosses, 812 billion on this on this Palantir, and 25% launch for NVIDIA. So why NVIDIA, right? He has been wrong on NVIDIA a couple of times. It'll be the first time he's going to get it correct. So let's see what happened. All right, now the Asia boys has been selling. We're from Korea, Taiwan, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia. They are selling down because they know that the currency they're holding now is very high. Yes, indeed. So that is why, once again, traders, you need to be careful when you're traveling with the main crowd. Our own crowd will be better, yeah? Now, $750 billion have wiped out in the Asia financial stocks, and it has been down by 6.9%. Oh my goodness. And of course, Taiwan stock market, Japan stock market, both down quite a fair bit. Now, one thing is that we all know that MSTR is having the biggest unrealized losses. Now, MSTR tracks the Bitcoin like a super glue. So whenever the Bitcoin goes up, right, it'll go up. But when the Bitcoin comes down and he rejected it, you can see very clear that this is going to be lesser. So why is that so? So why is that we can last it the whole day? Because EA is definitely a robot and we don't want it to be crashed, and we're trying to basically put our signal to a computer so things will be better. So now what we can see is very clear is that all the way it takes. Now, recently after here, that means after the, let me see, around mid of May, things have to go crazy and things have to happen. All right. And the thing is this right now is official Microsoft strategy. MicroStrategy is facing its biggest ever loss in history, $10.8 billion. So this is really a very big project. In comparison, it's like buying of 6 months of Bitcoin ticket and nothing goes well. So he tells the young girl, all right, it's just time to move on. So we can see right now the NASDAQ and the Bitcoin are getting crazy. All along Bitcoin and this crazy are very good friends. But now you can see a very big divergence again between the two animals. And so this is where I need you to look into that to learn if you're watching this, okay, or this Sophie. All right, you can see very clearly now that the Tom Lee says that the market is going to a hard landing first. Then after that, the midterm election. After that, then we call for the movement of the beautiful bear market. Yeah, so traders watch out for that. Okay, one thing to know, as I told you guys, the S&P 500 and the midterm election has a very interesting pattern. Basically, it's all right. Whenever you're going to have the midterm election, there will be a pullback on the stock market. You can see happened before in 1962, 1966, and so forth, right? So if you look back into your history, you will notice that on this year, usually you didn't move very well, all right? So these are the answer why it is like that, all right? So one thing to note is that every time when out of the 16 and last 17 midterm election, there is a very high chance after it go up, there will be a pullback to the MA ANE itself, whereby you can see the market is moving and stuff like that. Okay, this is very, very important. All right, so please make sure that she's eating and then she rests, and then we can see what happened then. Okay, all right, so one thing to note, guys, let's take note, okay? The unusual is this. The 500, S&P 500 has been all the way well used by a lot of people, but apparently there is some what they call meme use elsewhere. Now, do take note, out of 17 midterm elections, 16 of them, the Meta S&P 500 is still good. So this is a 94.1%, and every rally troop should be before 200 EMA before being touched on, all right? So let's see how it goes. That will be all for today. Thank you very much for coming in to listen to me. It's been a long time. I see you guys. Just remember this, follow the OP rule, follow the KSI color. You should be fine. That's all. Take care. This is Cal signing off. See you again. Bye-bye.